mana, making it harder and more expensive to trigger. So obviously the deck still has other game plans and has a pretty strong early board right now with the Crab Rat and the Red Skull Dragon Tamer right now as on your screens, but the deck definitely did take a hit.
Yeah, it's always rough when a deck takes a hit, but to be able to pull through and kind of keep up to that standard, so there's no ramp in the hand currently. It's going to be a relatively rough start for SunSovereign. Does draw a playable card. Might not use it, might just opt for the hero power. But we see an incredibly heavy hand for Sasajiro.
So this has to be a free 2. If this is not a free 2, I'm going to be quite upset.
Well, I guess it's time to be upset. I guess he bows his head in shame for another player. I mean, maybe somehow that extra drawn card will come in clutch, as it was the Dreamway Guardians. Potentially something you could play. Probably not against a 2-3, because it's almost a perfect trade.
So hear me out, right? Obviously, this deck is like about setting up boards over board. And obviously, yes, it would potentially be cleared out by the Crab Rat. I would trade directly with the Red Skull Dragon Tamer. But still, like, it's not like you need the card draw right now. Like, there is a Fungal Fortunes in the hand as of right now here for SunSovereign. It's a very, very good card to have. Well, okay, so I can somewhat understand this line, but it's not like this line wouldn't have been wouldn't have been possible without like drawing the card. Obviously, yes, it would have been a slight twist, but we just did not play Fungal Fortunes on turn 3.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an odd one. Luckily for him, Sasajiro doesn't have the greatest opening hand with 2 10-drops. I mean, if he can make it, or if he can draw his Nosdormu the Timeless, then he's in a perfect position. Currently, he does not have that. And there we go, Blessings of Wisdom. We'll take care of that extra little bit of draw. Currently, no Nosdormu as of yet.
So obviously it's not exactly like a horrible position to be in here for SunSovereign, but again, we are playing a board-centric deck that hasn't come onto the board for the first 4 turns of the game, right? So this global not going to come down, obviously going to be hugely impactful, it's going to do a whole lot. But even then, Sasajiro right now will just be able to play out the Crab Rider coin in conjunction with the Murloc Wall Leader, should they feel the need to do that. And then just clean up like most of this board, leave SunSovereign with just the free 2/2s left. Yes, obviously it's a pretty good board overall, but I mean, actually, is it quite okay? I guess the Arbor up top deck right there changes this hand quite a lot, but even before that, even like, I don't know, man, it's just weird because like, you just always make the free 2 there, in my opinion. It's just, I know I'm going on and on about it, but it just feels like so wrong to not make the free 2.
Yeah, this is the challenger division, so you don't necessarily have to expect perfect plays and tiny little misplays here and there that will ultimately lead to one's defeat. And that is why we point them out. We're not looking to bash on these players or anything. These are not the top level, it is a collegiate league. So we're just trying to give the insight the best as possible, as this is a lot of pressure on the board.
Yes, and obviously something that's worth noting, right? When this Paladin deck, when it doesn't get its high roll with the High-Base Allure, like in any other way, shape, or form, when you start producing these boards, which SunSovereign has been producing right now, it becomes quite difficult to really deal with them due to the nature of the fact that you don't really run stuff like Consecration. You can't afford to run spells that are going to like dilute your spell pool because you want to be 100% consistent with hitting that tip the scales. So as we can see right now, it's starting to look quite over here for Sasajiro. Needs to develop tempo while removing his opponent's board and putting up a taunt, which is very powerful to do right now. It's not really possible, but Wantmaker is not gonna save you here. Oh my Yogg again can be a thing, but it's very easy to play around this with Sasajiro, and even then, it's not like it's just over, because if you're just staring down 20 on board, even with something, oh no, if this is like this could go badly. I guess there's like one spell here, could just then change the drain life, again, doesn't really matter, I suppose, but that's going to be here going up to a very quick 1-0 lead, because as last time I checked, 5 times 4 equals 20, and Sasajiro only has 17, so that's 3 damage overkill. You could just play out all the spells for good measure. I don't know. Maybe SunSovereign has a play spells quest that he just wants to get it over with. You can, you know, just get that XP and get that reward track, that reward track progress. But a bit of a slow roll right there. Obviously, maths can be quite hard. I know that as a communications major myself, maths are quite difficult. But something that's also quite difficult right now. Sasajiro's position in the series being down 1-0.
I think he noticed that at some point as well. He was looking to play spells, looking to, how can I make this board stronger? And looking to further on the game, and then realize, wait, don't I just have the ability to knock him off his socks, kill him right here? And he did, and then he went phase very, very quickly, killed off his opponent. And indeed, it's not a great look right now after that loss. And Ram Paladin not being able to pull through, but it is a deck that isn't necessarily, it isn't bad at all. So if you get an unlucky game, you'll definitely be able to bounce back. I saw a deck last week that I had my questions about, so I still have to get a win with this deck, because that's obviously the format. You have to get a deck win with every single deck that you play. They all have to be decent quality, at least. They have to be a deck that is winnable, that you can pull through with. Sasajiro, he's up to a task that isn't going to be easy one bit.
Obviously, against Standard Conquest, you're only as good as your worst stack. It's not like last year's Standing, where you can have like more spicy decks to turn and can keep it and like hold them back as a counter queue. But again, like, it's kind of weird because like I don't really play a lot of the decks that are being brought here by Sasajiro, to be honest, because they aren't really main meta decks anymore. And like when I'm looking at the Evolve Shaman, I play quite a lot of. I consider myself a pretty decent Evolve Shaman player, but like it just lacks the good matchups even, I'd say here. But obviously now gonna run it back, and that's obviously a strategy you can just do in Conquest, just run it back until you get the win. Was that a keep on a tip the scales?
No. Okay. I guess he wants it in his hand really, really badly. He wants to.
But you're on the coin. You want this 8-mana card in your deck when you're on the coin. And it's not like there is enough storm with a timeless where I can go coin Nosdormu into turn 4 tip to scales, right? Obviously, yes. Who knows? I mean, I guess that they're banking on he's banking on drawing with the Red Scale Dragon Tamer, which obviously now with the
oh no,
with both Circus Amalgams in hand, he now has a 100% chance of doing. But still. It's not fantastic, and obviously incredibly strong opening from SunSovereign, but obviously again, you're looking at Sasajiro's potential hand right now, and it's just gonna be really strong. Obviously, we're gonna be seeing a pretty strong board development turn coming out here from SunSovereign on the opposite side of the board, but the issue is that tip the scales is gonna come in with a bunch of rush minions, probably a 1 wall leader too, and just clean up the board, and then there's no Zephyrs in the hand right now for SunSovereign to really start hammering out this board and take it away. So it's looking quite alright for Sasajiro, I'd say.
Yeah, this very much favors the Ram Paladin. SunSovereign, he's not necessarily in a position where he can easily deal with a lot of threats that's coming towards him. He's got pressure play, looking to play as well. He doesn't really know what to do with this 10 mana that's all of a sudden been given to him. He's struggling to find a route through this. And there we go. That is a very, very good card to play right now, because it means that you get all your highest cost cards first. So you'll be able to play those. And the Hero Power comes out. Getting another Secret on the board. Freezing Trap. I don't think it matters that much, because Tip the Skills surely is coming out, right?
Yeah, so obviously something that's worth noting with how pressure play does trigger. It should only trigger after the completion of the spell, because it says after, not when. So trading into the 1/1 here is a play around stuff like Pack Tactics. But yeah, I'd be very surprised if it wasn't the tip scales that came down here. White gets sniped away. That was a wall leader. Obviously that's pretty decent, but it's not going to be gigantically. Actually, it means that this fall 5 is going to take a few more attacks before it gets dealt with, making the board a lot harder, a lot easier for SunSovereign to deal with. But even then, as good of a card as Dino Tamer Bran is, it doesn't really deal with these types of boards. And you know for a fact there's most likely going to be some very big, scary minion that's going to keep it in the way. So SunSovereign here might just have been, the victim of what the Ram Paladin tends to do. Like it's a gimmick deck, and when the gimmick goes off, it's obviously an incredibly strong deck, and it's a deck where the gimmick is still consistent enough to the point where people are playing it in tournament play.
Yeah, honestly, I love it. I love it. I love just massive Murlocs on the boards and those swing turns where all of a sudden it goes back and forth. And that's SunSovereign. He's just scrambling to try and get something together. He only has 4 cards, but he's thinking through every single option, what he can draw, how he can play this the best, and decides to go with a Dino Tamer Bran. Whether he's going to go face and try and initiate a base race. He indeed is going to initiate that base race with a kill command in the hand and a trampling rhino. That's also 4 damage to the face if this Silverhand recruit stays up, and he's just playing everything he's got right now, looking to make this incredibly hard. But the Dark Moon Rabbit, that is just going to clear the entire board, and this is looking incredibly bad for SunSovereign.
Yeah, so the big issue here, right, when you're playing out the Lawkeeper Polkelt in the fashion that we just saw from SunSovereign, is the fact that you aren't really like dealing with the real issues, right? Because the thing is that your Sephiroth, which is going to be your primary tool of closing out the game as of right now, nowhere to be found for the next 4 or 5 turns, right? Because you have to draw throughout all of your free cost cards. Your Dragonbane, your Rinling's Rifle, right? You're just never going to get to it. So you have to find a way to win through like actual fair gameplay. And when you're at the point as of we're seeing right now, that's going to be somewhat difficult. Maybe I guess like you go down to 1 here. Actually, am I right? Or am I wrong? Maps are hard. It's 11. It's half past 11 for me. You're right. Maps are hard. Going to be putting down to 4. Yeah, I guess you have to leave on the counter turn here, actually. That is a pretty big misplay coming out here of Sasajiro not taking the Trampling Rhino into account here with the Rush Overkill effect, because you know for a fact that card's going to be in the hand.
Yeah, it's a simple mistake as well. If you're just like, oh, I've got 2 mana left over, let me just hero power with this. These are the things that you need to take into account to get higher up, to really make your progression into the ladder. And now he's looking in a terrible position. Does he really have anything that he can even counteract this hero power with? It doesn't really look to be the case. Yes, he can clear the Rhino relatively easy. Well, that is about it. He's got no way to defend against this hero power, and will actually be defeated by SunSovereign.
Yeah, right. Like, and again, like obviously it's 2-0 now, and obviously the series isn't over. But again, it's going to be quite difficult now. Obviously, we will be seeing SunSovereign probably left with the best deck in the format. Like, Aggro Rogue right now is a scary beast, my guy. Like, this deck is just... it just does things to people. And those things aren't very pleasant. And like, when your best deck is pretty much just banned away, it becomes quite difficult, because the thing is that it's way too fast for the Evolved Shaman to follow. It's way too fast for like the GA Druid most of the time as well. And it's way too, like, in this Paladin deck, it has to high roll even harder than it just did. And Sasajiro now has been undercoined twice and lost both games. So the main facilitator for his gimmick has not helped him push him over the line. Like, that is the state of this deck at the moment, right? Yes. That's been the state of the deck always. It just really comes down to this. And obviously, yes, him playing the 1-1 is not going to be the biggest thing. Wait, what? Okay, we got lied to. It's a double warrior ban. I guess a rogue was banned away, and I was right when we talk about it in pregame. But okay. Let's not put it on that. This changes the scope a little bit. It changes the scope a lot, because this means that this matchup is a lot more winnable for the Paladin than it would have been before. And also, it means that the Evolved Shaman now has another bad matchup, so that matchup really doesn't change, but you have a matchup you can more reliably high roll in that regard, because obviously the warrior can sometimes just not get off to a flying start. And yeah, I don't really know that was okay. I think like my entire analysis and my entire talk have been about like how this rogue is gonna absolutely just make a menace out of Sasajiro, and we're just not gonna see it. So, okay, before I let you speak again, because I know I've been talking quite a lot here. High Basilero now. So the thing is that we see the Wand Maker, which in combination with the High Basilero tended to be like the big play that would shape the game. That play now costs 6 mana over costing 5, right? And that is a really big deal because it's another turn that you have to wait to activate your big plays, and that is a really big nerf for this deck specifically, because when you start moving into like the turn 5s, the turn 6s of the world, it becomes a lot easier to do with a white board.
I also want to get that wide board, but I mean, it's not an aggro rogue. We've got an aggro warrior now, so it will still be aggression coming out of SunSovereign. He's been having that aggro lineup the entire day already. I actually saw the Nosdormi being mulliganed away. Not sure about that one, because right now that would have just been an easy play. 7 mana, you can actually start moving into your power plays. You've got Tip the Scales, you've got Scrapyard Colossus, you've got so many things to improve your board. He will draw it here. He can kill the Red Skill Dragon Tamer. Actually, no, that's not a guarantee. It won't necessarily draw it. So I'm not too sure about that Nosdormu mulligan here.
But a Nosdormu mulligan is kind of one of those things where like I really haven't played this game enough to the point where I can like reliably say what a good and a bad mulligan is. But it's one of those mulligans that, at least where I'm looking at, I'm like, I can see that this matchup could be one of those matchups where if you give your opponent 10 mana, it could very easily just turn into a turn where I just like Risky Skipper, bunch of Armor Smiths, Bosh, massive, just recycle my entire hand and develop a threat. And that's kind of what happened regardless of like the threats have been developed here. But I quite do enjoy the fact that I think that Mulligan away was correct. But again, it's one of those things where the deck kind of came and went before we really were able to, as a community, like deem what was the best mulligans at the time. So let's just see where this goes. I'm not sure I like this trade. I mean, I like it now, but
RNG, baby.
I would much rather send that 2/2 into it and take the guaranteed damage to the face instead, because at this point in time, it's like you might as well, right? And you have to kill your opponent before they are able to set up that taunt wall, right? And again, so in terms of closeout package for this warrior build specifically, it is a single Cochrane lead list with a single copy of Gromesh as well. So now we are going to see this deck. And actually, due to the fact that the Shield of Honor was created, they have to, like, Sasajiro is finding himself buffing up an opponent minion. Okay, that is pretty decent, I guess. 1/4 does survive, though. And that's a Risky Skipper top deck with that Sky Raider in hand. It's going to allow SunSovereign to have a more clear idea about how to approach this board clear.
And does indeed decide to go for that Risky Skipper top deck. It is ours though. The top deck always coming in handy if he's actually deciding to play. He's still weighing all his options, making sure that he picks the perfect one here. But he's just looking to get through. He's looking to deal damage to the face. No, currently he's finding a way to do so.
I think that the card that's going to be very important at this point in time now for SunSovereign to find from his stack is going to be Law Bearer, because having that equality effect to be able to deal with deal with whatever big board is going to be thrown at him next is going to be very critical, and so the fight's going to allow him to push through a wall of Carnival Clowns, for example, or a Strong Man. I also don't like not trading. We could just have traded this 4/4 away without taking away the Divine Shield, but again, obviously sometimes when turns become quite intricate, it can become quite difficult to really figure out what's the right way of going about this, right way of approaching things. But I think it's safe to say that this turn entered on a bit of a blunder, a bit of a bummer in terms of like where we wanted to go on. So now this gives seems a good amount of space here for Sasajiro to really start redeveloping. Finds that Nosdormu as well. Now that's going to be absolutely critical, because now he's able to get down that Scrapyard Colossus, going to follow that up with back-to-back Carnival Clowns. There's just no way at this point in time, unless there's going to be a lethal combination coming out right now for SunSovereign to close out this game, because the walls are just going to start coming and they're not going to stop. Like it's just, I don't know, man.
This is looking in very, very terrible indeed. SunSovereign needs to do something right now, but his opponent on 14 health is sitting relatively comfortable. I don't think he'll be able to generate that all from hand. He had nothing on board, has to start up everything. I know it's indeed those Scrapyard Colossus and then the Carnival Clowns. Well, if you're afraid of clowns, well, you're definitely going to be afraid of clowns now with the Carnival Clowns in the hand. It is looking incredibly bad, and SunSovereign, he kind of realizes it as well, potentially looking to go face or clear that 1-3. I don't think he necessarily has the time to just clear everything out, but well, this is going to be a power turn for Sasajiro.
And good recognition playing down the Colossus and not playing the Diamond Rapid. The Diamond Rapid would have been a bit of a sketchy play, I know, but obviously now that's 3 taunts for now for SunSovereign to get through, and obviously as I was talking about, this matchup does change. Like, this obviously changed the outlook of the Paladin queue in general, that the fact it was the Warrior left open and not the Rogue that we were told. But again, obviously worth noting that relatively easy with the Cochrane Elite and Bloodwind Mercenary, this Warrior deck can produce upwards of 22 damage pretty easily. But when there are taunts in the way, it becomes quite hard. And it's, again, we're talking about it was without the Lord Barrow, it is going to be incredibly difficult for SunSovereign here to really find a way to just close out this game.
And the Death Rattle as well, that's not going to be easy to get through, because even if you did get that Lord Barrow, that still means there's a taunt in your way, blocking your path. And just trying to armor up, get as much armor going as possible, because he wants to survive against the current, what is it, 21 damage on board, which would currently kill him if he doesn't do anything about it. He can hero power outside of that range, and with this play going on, that will definitely make sure that he's out of range for the board damage. Does that mean that SunSovereign is all of a sudden looking really good? Absolutely not. He's still in a relatively backed position where he really has to find a way out.
As long as his Risk Skipper dies, Sasajiro can basically not misplay this turn.
Oh, we've seen some things that you were not happy about before. We're gonna have to see whether he actually, and that's the thing about Hearthstone, we never really get an instant answer to whatever we want to question. As always, we're gonna have to wait until the play actually unfolds. And SunSovereign, he's also patiently waiting for Sasajiro to finish his turn, looking to see what he comes out with. And I just love seeing him on 10 mana, 8 mana card, 9 mana card, 9 mana card, and a 10 mana card, all in his hand. There's a massive hand in front of him, and he doesn't even know what to play right now. Okay, there we go. You're happy.
Yeah, I can obviously, as of why, right? Because now you're looking at it. Lord Barrow of his top deck, right? That's just that card wants to play around here. Now this board's not going to get cleaned up. There's not going to be unnecessary damage being pushed to the face, and I think that slowly but surely the SunSovereign will find himself in a position where he's going to be looking at it and thinking, yeah, we're just going to go next. I mean, at this point in time, actually, it's probably fine to just think about what you want to queue, because like obviously, you know the game's not going to go your way most likely, so you might as well just like take this time to think about what you're going to queue up next. Which is actually not something he has to think about, because he only has the Warrior left, and I am, you know, that is definitely on my point pick. And obviously, if there is like a 0.0% out, then obviously you have to play towards it. And obviously, SunSovereign is not aware of the fact there's a second Carnival Clown. So if he sees a line where he beats the first clown and then takes it home afterwards, then obviously that is what he's going to be playing towards.
Yeah, I was looking for Inner Rage, the Lord Barrow, for something like that, but he only has one, and obviously the Lord Barrow on 2 health won't be killed by that. He still decides to try his hardest to find a way out. Is this going to be enough to put him out of safe, or to put him into safety? Yes, it will be. There's only 12 damage on the board right now, but it is only extending what's looking like the inevitable here.
Okay. We did not play on second copy of Carnival Clown, and I can understand this for a second. That's why I've been talking about playing on Lord Barrow for so long here, and I was with the main cleave gone. It's going to be a lot harder to really do anything about it, and this probably puts up a pretty decent board, but I think that at this point in time, I think it would be somewhat okay to do it, but I can understand her wanting to hold it back because it doesn't really accomplish anything else. But yeah, I don't know. This game is pretty much won. It was looking quite alright for a hot minute until that Nostalmo came through and ended up being really clutch. But
yeah, it's looking pretty hard in general for SunSovereign here. And you see in this taken turn times as well. Oh my word, he almost wants to equip that weapon. Getting rid of the 4-2 for a 3-2. Yes, you get a body on the board, but it's still not going to be amazing. I don't think you can Warmole Challenger, or you can't Warmole Challenger the Lord Barrow. That would be a play and a half as well. Unfortunately, that is not a possibility, and he just has to clear it the hard way.
yeah, no, obviously right. Again, it's just the age-old debate about like Taunt Wall versus minion damage, right? And it's just going to be quite hard to really push forward here. We're going to obviously see right now SunSovereign is staring down lethal damage on the board here. I just assume the Sasajiro will just at least just give him the courtesy of sending him out of his misery quite quickly. But I'm not really sure why we're waiting. I count lethal damage in like 5 bajillion different ways. So we does see that he does spot it, and that does mean that the series is now 1-2. So Sasajiro now trying to find his footing in the series. Obviously, again, his remaining decks have quite difficult matchups, but you know, sometimes you just win.
Yeah, he needs to high roll, get that perfect card draw going. Because there will be a difficult task up ahead, and with the Rogue all of a sudden being banned, or not all of a sudden, but being banned instead of the Warrior as we thought initially, that's going to change up some things. And now with this win on the board, he might be able to pull through his entire way, but he's still got that Evolved Shaman up ahead, potentially looking to get that out of the way, or maybe save it for last, try and get a better score in on the board. Because currently SunSovereign, he is 1-0, having a bye in the first week, and Sasajiro here, he is 0-1, having a bye in the second week. Both these players, technically their second match, still trying to find footing, and that is the beautiful thing about league play. It's early on. It doesn't necessarily, one loss is not going to all of a sudden send you out directly, but especially for Sasajiro, you really need to start winning.
Yeah, absolutely right. And this matchup here is a matchup that can go either way. It's a matchup where you can definitely like argue that Warrior's favorite. I tend to like Warrior quite a lot. Normally like the druids that I played at the moment are like the token druids, in which like the Warriors are just infinitely favored due to the, like just risky skip up one more challenge, all of these types of things, but it's so easy for them to control the board states. Obviously, with the hand looking like it's looking right now here for Sasajiro, right? Like we're looking at an Overgrowth, looking at Lightning Bloom. A single copy of Guardian Animals might just be enough to ruin SunSovereign's day, and that is how this deck functions.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to try and deal with that, or just anything big coming out of the Druid. You didn't find a lot of tempo just yet. A lot of mana gain in the early turns.
Apparently I'm lying. This is a heavily favored Druid Pharaoh matchup. I am just lying, you know.
Straight up capping. That's what we like. Yep. Okay. Well, I mean, that's good for Sasajiro, obviously.
Dude, this hand is illegal. This hand is so illegal, man.
Guardian Animals being drawn. This is SunSovereign doesn't know what's coming at him yet, but it gets even worse, baby. The Wild Growth coming out, getting to that turn even earlier. Or no, actually, you'll just do it with Lightning Bloom, and there we go. Guardian Animals being played. Oh, this is going to be rough.
So yeah, obviously, like, and this is what the deck does, right? Obviously, we're memeing quite heavily, but it's kind of what the deck. This is what the deck intends to do, right? Overgrowth in Lightning Bloom, Blush, you have a big board, right? But looking at it as of right now here, if there was that lot barrel we've been talking about, this was a pretty dealable bot with. But like as of right now, it's quite hard for SunSovereign to deal with this, where he doesn't have anything that can really help him. I think he can do the risky skipper, plus just like make everything cheaper, then play out the. Can he copy? He can copy the brute here, right? I'm not stupid. Yeah, you can copy the brute. So sadly, he cannot trade in the 1/1 before that because I will make the brute cost 1. Is there a different way?
Glad he didn't do that.
If we're playing the Armor Smith, we always trade away the 1/1. Like we're like SunSovereign right now should not care about 1 armor, should care about being able to facilitate a trade. In my opinion, at least. Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. Like, obviously, it deals with the majority of the board state, leaves them with either 3-2 or 6-3, whatever trade you want to take. And it does ask a Sasajiro to develop a new board, but, like, you don't really need new boards when you can just play Wild Growth. Another Survival of the Fittest might be a little bit overkill, but again, obviously, could just be not a win condition, and obviously playing the Wild Growth turns those Carnival Clowns into 8/8 to make them incredibly hard to deal with, even though they're obviously already quite obnoxious, right? So, I don't know, man. Maybe that Survival of the Fittest is what's going to turn them from being like those, like those clowns and like circuses that you're kind of afraid of, to turning them into the ones that's going to pull you down the drain. Like that is probably why it's going to be it's going to corrupt them, right? Because like how I envision it, right? So when Carnival Clown isn't corrupted, it's like this happy hospital clown, and then it gets corrupted and it just turns into the guy from it. Like that's just like the transformation they go through.
I must say that looking at the card design, Carnival Clown is ripped. He is not messing about already. If I saw him in a circus being that ripped, I was wondering what he was doing there. He's very nicely juggling on his unicycle, but come on, lad, with muscles like that, you could probably do a lot more. But just imagine those Carnival Clowns on their unicycle while juggling, slowly circling around you or looking from a distance where you're going to be doing. That is the position that SunSovereign is in right now. He doesn't necessarily know that the Carnival Clown is in the hand yet, but as soon as he does find out, it's not going to be a happy moment, I'd say, for SunSovereign.
No, absolutely not. Like, and obviously, we've just seen the prowess of what Ram does to the Druid decks, right? Like, for a long time, a lot of the Druid core has just been Ram into big stuff, right? It's just kind of been the Druid identity forever, and obviously, I can't remember if Ogre rotates or not, but like, with it being there, like it actually doesn't rotate if I'm recalling correctly, so it's gonna be an interesting one for sure for another year. But I like this trade though. Like this trade I think is fine. Obviously, it doesn't play around Survival of the Fittest, so SunSovereign's gonna be in for a bit of a surprise coming through here. 8-6 going to the dome, and again, nothing to really develop onto the board. It's gonna hurt him quite a lot, but my brute will deal with the first one, but again, obviously, with no risky skipper, this wall of Carnival Clowns is going to come through and present themselves very, very shortly. It's going to be... It's probably going to be like the closer, like, not even the encore. It's going to close it so much, you don't even want an encore afterwards.
I mean, a full board of 8/8s. And it is obviously corrupted with that Survival of the Fittest. It wasted an entire turn, but boy is it worth it, because here we go. The Carnival Clowns, the creepy man is coming out. A multitude, 7 of them on the board, 7 8/8s obviously. Staring down the SunSovereign. Not from a distance anymore, they're right up in his face. I mean, go ahead and draw a pirate. I don't think it's going to make that much difference.
I mean, I don't know. How do you just deal with a casual 56 damage on board? I don't know, man. Sounds like easy, right? Like it's just 56 damage. Risky skipper coming through. Still a chance. It's like it's a bit hard, right? But obviously, it's going to just swing in here. Gas that. This is the only way. I guess it gives them a higher chance to find that risky skipper, and it's just going to be that Sword Eater, and obviously Sword Eater, which is the lesser performer today, should we say like that? The Carnival Clown took the spotlight. The Sword Eater, as of right now, has just been booed off stage twice in a row.
I don't even want to imagine, by the way, what Carnival Clown looks like with Survival of the Fittest being its buff. He was already huge. He would be even huger. He would be he wouldn't fit through a door anymore. That is exactly what he showed, completely knocking out SunSovereign. And now, well, they're both 2-2. Still, both need to get one more, and here is where we exactly know the decks that are going to be coming up. It will be Evolved Shaman from Sasajiro and the Rogue, I think it is.
Oh, it's
from
the Enrage Warrior. Like he hasn't, like he's playing the same game, the same deck 3 times in a row. He has to win with his Warrior, right? Like the Rogue has been banned.
Right.
It's game number 5, by the way, right? Game 5, we love those types of things here. And obviously, Evolved Shaman, a deck that I haven't seen in forever because the deck, quite frankly, it's not up to par at the moment. It really isn't. The meta is way too fast for it now. The change to the box by Knuckles, making it impossible to play box by Knuckles ahead of curve in combination with the Dread Corsair, meant that you just lost a very critical swing turn in the way the deck played out. So... And in the first place, Enrage Warrior was a really bad, was like one of the worst matchups for you. So like, interesting that he decides to keep the Sludge Slap here. So the thing is, so a lot of people when they play this deck, right, they think Sludge Slapper is the one drop I need to keep it, and it's really not the case, to be honest. You would much rather be looking for Cage Match Custodian, even like hard copy of Box by Knuckles, and in this matchup, things that develop board. Right, because at 2-1, it doesn't really develop board, it just gets cleared up by a one-more challenger.
He does draw the Box by Knuckles, just drawing it regularly. I personally love Evolved Shaman. I love me a little bit of RNG, seeing what can pop up. Some absolutely ridiculous scenes with the boards that you're able to get together. It's not necessarily a bad start for Sasajiro. He needs to come from a mile away here. As you said, the Evolved Shaman is not necessarily the strongest deck these days. It's going to be a challenge for sure.
It's up near right, it's really good, obviously. And again, something that I think is pretty apparent from both sides of the field was that with the hero power being held back in that turn, it was very apparent that the weapon was going to come down, or at least some way of capitalizing on having that hero power cost 0 mana here. So let's see, what's the 5 drop? It's a 3-2. This is kind of grim, because this fighter right now is going to be the one that you kind of want to just like keep on making bigger and better. It's just going to get eaten by the Anchor, and it's just going to allow SunSovereign to play it out the Saudi the next turn. Like that is an absolutely grim low roll there for Sasajiro, because it's just going to completely deny him any chance of actually continuing the pressure that he was trying to develop.
That is Evolved Shaman. You have massive highs, but you also have massive lows. You're really in the gutter right now. It's going to be so incredibly tough to try and come back from that, especially in this turn. Locks Mana Crystal. He still has that overload from that power turn on the previous one. With the Horde Pillager in hand, he still decides to not attack here.
And that is the absolute correct play, by the way, because of the fact with the Derail Coaster coming into the hand now, you're going to be able to, on the following turn, facilitate trades with the 1/1s, and then obviously develop into a 6-drop and while keeping the weapon back. And that is just good recognition, and that is actually a really, really good play. A lot of people would have probably played out the Sludge Sliper, would have played out the Goblin Lackey, just deal with the threat that's imminent at hand, not thinking about the long game here. So I like that play from Sasajiro.
I was thinking about that long-term play. Incredibly smart, and with the overload obviously going away next turn, instantly being able to play that derailed coaster. I think it will be coming out directly. No need to hesitate. I think this is a play that, and indeed, it's a very, very clear-cut play. And the weapon trades in perfectly, getting the evolve on many minions, and then probably the next turn. Oh, hello 7-5. That's a little bit better than a 3-2.
It still is, but it's still not that great of a 6-drops, like in terms of sticking around. And the double imprisoned Falmo here obviously going to be an incredibly impactful. It'd be an incredibly impactful payoff once they do come in a couple of turns, but as of right now, in terms of immediate pressure, they really do not do a whole lot, but it actually might be been a bit of a blessing in disguise in terms of the fact that with the whole pillager being, with like the play coming out now from SunSovereign Revelstory, should I say, they aren't going to get cleared off by this risky Skipperton.
And the Felmors, they will be Felmors who will be sticking around for sure. But that Rift Cleaver, that 6-drop is looking shaky, and now is in reach of the weapon, potentially even getting knocked down by the bomb. No, won't. So yeah, I'm deciding to do it this way. Play another minion, clear it out nonetheless, and generating some phase damage. Looking to kind of put some pressure on the Kessel here for Sasajiro.
It generates the Cobalt Sticky Finger. That is going to be the absolute disaster moment here for Sasajiro.
Oh no.
Because Sasajiro is going to be developing this whole pillager here and starting to make that into a 5-drop and then start swinging back and just hoping that's going to be enough to save his game. Issue is that there is a Sticky Finger feeling a little bit icky on the opposite side of the board. So, that is good with one for sure. Obviously, could go for the Revolt play with the Mogu Flesh Shaper instead, but that wasn't really an option. For that to be an option, Sasajiro should have generated the what's it called, Cobalt? Let's call it Cobalt Lackey. The Lackey that generates a 2-drop, then obviously would have been able to have the leftover mana to do so. But as of right now, this is just a play that's going to be made to ensure that the board stays under control. But it also does leave one of the most important minions in this deck to get eaten up on board straight up.
Yeah, this is looking very bad for Sasajiro. That 3-2 really still biting him right here. A lot later in this matchup, not being able to develop that, putting on some more pressure, and with the amount of health that SunSovereign already has of that previous turn, he's looking incredibly steady and now looking to close this one out against Sasajiro's final deck. Not deciding to trade, and there will be some damage coming through. Will it be enough? It's decent trades.
You have 18 armor. He had 18 armor. Like, this 1/1 doesn't matter. Like, the 5 force going into the face here doesn't matter. You're gonna end up wiping the entire board regardless. Like, at some point, hopefully, if you're him. It's just disaster on disaster for Sasajiro here.
Oh my word!
My God, man! It's just real misery hours, man. Like, misery loves company. Like, very apparently it does, right? Like, I mean, that is just pure fact right now. Like, there is not even anything about that. Like, that is just pure fact. Misery loves company. And no, you do not swing here. There's not a. Why are we swinging? The minion just dies.
Oh no! Questionable plays coming out, to say the least. But maybe SunSovereign is just like, okay, you got incredibly unlucky. I'll make it a little bit more fair. You got completely rinsed twice. So let me just make it a little bit easier for you. Completely clear my own board and getting away my weapon, so I can play the 3-2 weapon here. Surely that's the perfect play here.
So obviously, it's worth noting, right, that a lot of the minions that you're playing in the warrior deck are quite high quality, so you don't necessarily want to evolve them. But even then, I just feel like you just rather have the ability to swing with the weapon to answer whatever your minion playing, then just have the 3-2 weapon lying around, right? So, like, realistically speaking, it's just a waste of weapon charge, right? Because there was nothing stopping SunSovereign here from just, making this exact play, but swinging with the Puckspine Knuckles into the totem first. Okay, this is her time.
Okay, second try to get something on the board. Oh my word. Is this going to be better? Oh, Mukula comes out. That's a decent 3-drop, but that's not on Sasajiro's side. It's not necessarily terrible. It's also not to make up for that Doomsayer and that 3-2.
Obviously, very important information being given over here to Sasajiro, with the fact that there is in fact no dragons in hand for SunSovereign. There's also none in his deck, but important information being given away here from a randomly generated card. It's just, I mean, to be fair, like, obviously, like the Alamo bot here, I feel like you'd much rather have the impact of like the battle cry, but obviously again, you're banking on SunSovereign killing off the Alamo bot because the maybe SunSovereign is afraid of what might come out. But like, even then again, it wouldn't really be the case here. But the Reaper Scythe, in combination with that Shield of Honor here, is going to clean up most of this board. It actually would be a full block clip pretty much, more or less, with just a singular one attack minion being left on the board.
Yeah, it's a good start. It's a good, or continuation, I should say. In SunSovereign, he's already made the start. And this one has been going on a lot longer than I initially thought. Now we'll be at least be able to get that impact of the Kobold Lackey, but 2 damage. How much is that going to do at this current state? 2 8/4s, and there we go. The concede coming out instantly. The Dread Corsair obviously not enough. Only a 3/3 for 4 mana at that point. No evolved mechanics in hand. Oh, and that means that the win is in the hands of SunSovereign. After taking 2 losses with his warrior deck, he was able to pull through and take the win home 3-2.
Yeah, so I think that what really is the big takeaway here for Sasajiro is the fact that maybe like more, obviously again, you don't know who you're playing against going into these weeks, and obviously there is something in terms of deck building, what you expect, but we had a lineup like this that was actually pretty well showed off against the warrior deck. The Evolved Shaman was probably more of a comfort choice more than anything else. But obviously, if you ended up having a deck in there in your matchup spread, that had a bit of a better matchup against warrior, right? That was a pretty doable reverse sweep. And obviously, again, it didn't happen. And obviously, again, massive congratulations to SunSovereign. And obviously, again, I wouldn't say like a decent play on both sides as well, but obviously it was pretty obvious that Sasajiro had, you know, like some sort of familiarity with the decks that he was bringing to the tournament, or to this round of play, should I say, rather.
Yeah, he definitely played to his outs and trying to make sure he made the best plays possible. But how much can you really do against a 3-2 and a Doomsayer coming out, clearing off your entire board that you've been so desperately trying to build? There's only a certain amount of good plays that can work against RNG. Yes, you need to make sure that you play to the best of your ability against that RNG, not to be really completely in hands, but that is Evolved Shaman. You kind of are in the hands of RNG at that point. It's an unfortunate loss. A second one as well for Sasajiro, now being 0-2. And I did say it was the start of the league, not necessarily the end of the road for Sasajiro. For sure not. It's not the start he was looking for sure.
Absolutely not. And obviously, that is going to conclude it for you and I. But obviously, before we go, obviously, again, we wouldn't be able to host these events without our sponsors. So obviously, again, massive shout out to Meta Pro Gaming, a full service esports management, developmental, and consulting company. Meta provides esports coaching. They provide college esports management, as well as arena design in case you ever wanted to have some sweet custom arenas for your like Flick tournaments and Counter-Strike or whatever. And obviously as well, equipment is also something. Obviously, you'll visit them at metaprogaming.gg to learn more about their wonderful service.
Yeah. Meta Pro Gaming is always, we have to thank our sponsors. Obviously, you guys in chat, but that is not going to be it for the broadcast just yet. We do have 3 more matches coming up. Just sit tight, and we don't have to wait as long. We have cut down the time in between the matches by half an hour, so you don't have to sit there and wait. Well, until then, we will go into a tiny little ad break. See you in a bit.